Hey there, everybody. Today I'm going to have a little bit different of a type of video. A few months ago, I covered the Trump versus Biden 2024 battleground, in which I dived into each of the most vital states, in my opinion. We're going to watch that video, put it on playback again today, and then we're going to look at the Trump versus Harris map and kind of compare and contrast. So, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe, and let's give this video a watch. Gotta unmute it and let's hit play.
With that said, early voting in the 2024 election is just 6 months away. As you know, we have the Electoral College here in the United States.
6 months, that is, it feels like that was a decade ago. As you know, a lot has happened over the past 6 months. Trump got shot in the ear. Biden had a horrific debate performance, as predicted by this channel. By myself, I predicted that Biden would fall apart, as wasn't very hard to predict, but Trump showed a lot of good self control. I did not predict or see Kamala Harris being the pick, although it was predictable. It wasn't something I thought. I thought Biden might have actually survived a lot longer, and they would have been stuck with him. But yeah, a lot's happened in the 6 months. Not to mention RFK now over those 6 months coming and going, and just kind of crazy to think all of the stuff that's happened over the last half a year.
I am in favor of the Electoral College, as it ensures local and states' rights matter. While the Electoral College isn't perfect, it puts a premium on winning states rather than the popular vote. The needs of every state are different, and each state deserves value. If it was a popular vote contest, then the election strategies would be totally different. The popular vote helps gives a president a mandate and leverage, but outside of that, our system is as good as it gets when it comes to ensuring states' rights matter. Later this year, I will do a more in-depth video about the race to 270 electoral votes, but this week's video is centered around the top 5 battleground states to watch throughout this year. Every state and every vote matters, but let's get started with my list.
I remember posting these, putting these poll results in the video earlier this year, and Trump obviously, this was back in March, and he was up by a lot, even just in March. It was predictable that Trump was going to beat Biden, and that Biden had some major issues.
Firstly, I want to give an honorable mention to the state of Wisconsin. Trump unexpectedly won Wisconsin in 2016 against Clinton, but that was just by 0.77%. When you look at the 2020 battleground, states like Minnesota and Wisconsin were more out of reach than you'd expect. A lot of this was because of the mass vote-by-mail ballots, which favored Joe Biden. I believe Wisconsin will consistently vote Republican in future presidential races.
I would put Minnesota and Wisconsin still in the honorable mention portion of a Trump versus Harris matchup. I'll dive more into Trump versus Harris after the video, but I just want to be very clear about that. I would put those still in honorable mentions, and I don't think that really changes too much.
I'm just not sure 2024 is that year. This is because I'm unsure Wisconsin is ready for real productive change yet. The state is a mess in many ways. Remember, Wisconsin was one of the first states to defund the police. Polling also is limited and mixed in terms of clarity. I could see Trump winning Wisconsin, but it'll depend on the mail ballot rules and how much
Kennedy
Biden
at
is on defense in the
10%,
state.
kind of crazy to see.
With that said, let's get the list started. At number 5 for our battleground states to watch, I have the state of Georgia. Georgia emerged as a pivotal battleground state in the 2020 election.
As you know, Trump lost Georgia in 2020. It's a very controversial part of the 2020 election. So I put it at number 5. We'll see if it's still at number 5 when I get to the Harris versus Trump matchup.
The once reliably conservative state shifted. The demographic shifts, particularly in urban areas like Atlanta.
And Biden had no shot of winning Georgia as far as I was concerned at this point in the year, but even more so as the debates went on and he had more gaffes.
Atlanta have played a significant role in shaping Georgia's political playing field. However, I think Trump wins Georgia in 2024. Every poll has Trump ahead of Biden, and until recently, the polls were all outside of the margin of error. This essentially means Trump has a statistically significant lead over Biden. The impact of third party widens Trump's leads in the state
By
also,
seven
and
in
you'll see
these
that as a
polls. That is
growing
just
trend.
crazy.
Third parties help Trump. I personally believe third parties will have a major impact on the 2024 presidential race. Coming in the fourth spot is the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is often referred to as the bellwether state. The state flipped from Trump to Biden in 2020. In my opinion, this state had the most egregious violation of voter rights, as the courts mandated.
And some data just came out today about how vote by mail requests for ballots are down significantly and how that's going to impact and help Republicans here in 2024. Just so you know, you do some research on it. It's on Twitter now. I guess it's called X, but also if you just Google it, they're having uh, just a big shift in the number of requests. There's more Republicans as a percentage of increase requesting vote by mail ballots compared to Democrats. There's still Democrats prefer to vote by mail more, but Republicans are requesting more vote by mail ballots, and they're making gains in the early vote in Pennsylvania.
Unsolicited mass vote by mail ballots. Courts are not supposed to make election laws. Looking to 2024, Pennsylvania looks promising for Republicans. CNN's most recent poll even has Trump ahead. I hope that the state will not deploy a mass unsolicited vote by mail strategy, as that brings concerns about voter integrity. Clocking in the third spot is the state of Nevada. I actually lived in Nevada for a few years in the early 2000s. Post Great Recession, you saw voters trend more conservative in northern Nevada, notably the outer skirts.
That is something to take note of. Nevada has been a state that has been teetering more and more conservative. The Democrats in the state of Nevada, I have friends that are actually Democrats in the state of Nevada. They love guns. They love freedom a lot more than in other states. So it's not a typical Democrat party in Nevada. At least there's a lot more moderates. There's of course some crazy people in in Las Vegas as well as Reno, where I lived for a while. But it is a state that is much more reasonable when it comes to the average voter on both sides of the aisle. It's just very more traditional Republican, traditional Democrat. Just a just a little note there for the to give this video some context.
of Reno, Sparks, and Carson Valley areas. I believe Nevada is trending more conservative. Nevada has never been a deep blue state. Many of the Democrats in the state are pro-gun and anti-woke. All polls in a head-to-head matchup in the state show Trump ahead with an advantage, and in my view, Nevada is going to be much like Ohio going forward. I predict the state votes more and more red in 2024 and continues to vote more conservative going forward. Arizona is at number 2 on my list. Arizona has a growing Latino population, and Latino voters are more and more likely to support Trump according to recent polling. In fact,
Realize my audio in this video was so loud. Obviously, it's 6 months ago. I do like the presentation of it, but it is very loud music in the background now on playback.
Trump is polling much better with minorities across the board. Arizona is a hard state to understand, though. The state flipped from Trump to Biden in 2020. This was the first time a Democrat ever won Arizona since 1996. I think Trump will win in Arizona, but I must caution that I'm concerned about political strategy in the state. Candidates such as Kari Lake could be a liability for Trump.
And Kari Lake is a very big problem right now. She does not look good in her race. I don't think she's weighing Trump down as much as I predicted in this video. I think a lot of this happened this year that puts Trump, solely as the focus on the ballot for Republican voters and voters in general, whether it's pro Trump or anti Trump. I don't think Kari Lake's going to keep Trump from winning Arizona, but Kari Lake needs Trump to really bring Kari Lake across the finish line if she wants any hope to win. If you look at the data, that's a very important Senate seat, too. I don't think Kari Lake's a strong candidate. I know people like her. I don't think she's a strong candidate. That's just my personal opinion.
The proof is in the pudding. Trump leads in nearly every poll by 4 or more points. Lake trails in some polls by 4 points. Trump is controversial, and that is his style. Lake is a fire starter, and her whole strategy is to be a Trump suck up. I don't mind Lake personally, but what is the point of her campaign?
Kind of do
Her
mind her
strategy is
personally.
terrible, as she'd rather start
I don't
fires,
like, yeah,
divide the
this
state of
right here.
Arizona.
This made me mad in 20, was this 2022, right? Um, it just seemed like she was a political opportunist just trying to ride the Trump coattails, and she was just supporting Obama just a few years ago. And we have this happen a lot right now in politics. We have it happen locally where I'm at with a few candidates, and it's very frustrating. I think you need to be consistently conservative for a period of time before you run for office.
Instead of appealing to a wider coalition of voters. I think Trump wins Arizona because he appeals to more voters. Trump doesn't need blind worshippers running down the ballot. He needs candidates down the ballot that run on their own platform, that run on their own ideas, and that run on their own experience. And at number one, we have my home state of Michigan. While I have lived in California for a decade and a half, I understand the state of Michigan fully.
The Great Lakes state, and this state I do think shifts a little bit more in terms of obtainability with Harris on the ballot instead of Biden, but I'll touch on that in a second.
In 2016, I could tell a month before voting started that Trump would win the state of Michigan. People in the state of Michigan were enthusiastic compared to
And you could tell Trump was going to win the state earlier if it was Biden, but now that it's Harris, there are just a little bit of shifting dynamics. The Democrat Party there seems to be a little bit more organized.
in the past where they were always apprehensive about Republican candidates. But Trump gave people hope about jobs coming back, hope about the future. Trump lost Michigan in 2020 for a number of reasons, notably COVID. However, Trump undervalued the state of Michigan 4 years ago. The state of Michigan requires a lot of attention. I don't think Biden will be able to win Michigan, though. Polling shows that Biden is struggling when it comes to younger voters, minority voters, and
I totally forgot that Biden had this whole uncommitted vote in the primary because of his more radical base being upset with the whole Palestine situation. It feels like that was so long ago, but it was 6 months ago. And this was kind of the writing on the wall, though, that Biden was in trouble even with his own party.
truly believe union members will abandon Biden in droves as we progress through the year. In the 2020 election, I saw Trump losing the state of Michigan because his strategy in the state simply sucked. He didn't prioritize Michigan. Trump had a good record to run on.
It's true he didn't brag about his record in Michigan, and that's why he lost. It was obvious he didn't do as well of a job in 2020 campaigning in Michigan as he did in 2016. There was way more enthusiasm by voters in 2016 than in 2020.
And to brag about, but instead he complained about being attacked, about how the election was going to be stolen. Democrats cannot win the White House without the state of Michigan, as Michigan is the heart of their blue wall.
Not true anymore, really. I will touch on that in a second. Democrats could conceivably win the election without Michigan, but I just don't see it happening. But it's not as conceivable that there are pathways to victory where Michigan isn't as important, and I'll touch on that in a second.
Michigan is a domino state, though, for Republicans. If Trump wins Michigan, he likely wins Pennsylvania, and then he also has a really good shot at states such as Wisconsin and Minnesota. No poll, that's right, 0 polls show Biden winning Michigan. That should scare the living daylights out of Democrats. I see momentum for Trump, and if he campaigns like he did in 2016, then he should have no problem winning Michigan. Well, thank you all for watching.
All right. So that was 6 months ago, which is crazy to go back and watch and to see how things have changed. Let's compare both the 2024 battleground now that Kamala Harris is the Democrats' choice, or not their choice, their picked candidate in a convention coup, compared to what it was with Biden, who they protected during the primaries. I talked about how Michigan was a domino state when Biden was running. If you win Michigan, you probably win Pennsylvania, you might win Wisconsin, and have a stone's throw chance at getting Minnesota. I don't see the race the same way now. I have Michigan at number 5. It is no longer a domino state. In fact, I would say the state is increasingly out of reach depending on how things continue to go over the next month and a half. That is because the voters there, the union there with auto workers, they're very organized and they're not supporting Trump. And that is a little problematic. I do think, and you can see my list here from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, it has shifted dramatically with really Michigan and Pennsylvania kind of flipping. Harris made a terrible choice in not picking the Pennsylvania governor of Shapiro. That would have been an obvious choice to try to defend Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania is now a domino state. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, it's very plausible that he could win Michigan and Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is actually more obtainable in some ways, depending on how things fall, than Michigan. I mean, if I go in here, I could probably do, let me change this. It would be like Michigan/Wisconsin. I'm not going to actually change it, but you could put Michigan or Wisconsin. I think Trump's going to win North Carolina. It's not on the list for that. I think it's a sure thing that he wins North Carolina in a lot of ways. I mean, nothing's a sure thing, but I would put my money on it. Arizona slides down a spot and Georgia jumps to number 2. Georgia was a pivotal state in 2020. A lot of people didn't see it flipping. It's kind of like Michigan in the sense that Trump didn't campaign there very well in 2020. In my opinion, I don't see it being as difficult for Trump to win this time around, but he needs to make sure to campaign really aggressively there, as well as Arizona. Arizona and Nevada are becoming increasingly similar. I have family in Arizona, and I used to live in Nevada. You can see where Nevada's trending. It's trending more to the right. Arizona is trending more to the middle, but it's going back more towards the right. They both are very conservative states, in my opinion, and I think Biden winning Nevada, winning Arizona, Nevada hasn't voted Republican for a while, but Biden winning Arizona was a blip on the radar, and you could blame it a lot on COVID and the fact that there was mass mail ballots or a lot more availability of mail ballots, and it's wasn't a very trustworthy election in that regard. Voters didn't have equality in terms of their voting. Some people could vote at any point in one state, and other people in other states they could vote for what felt like over a month. So, and even after the election, they count votes way after the fact. So this is a comparison between Biden and Harris, the 2024 battleground. Pennsylvania is the most important state, in my opinion. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, he wins the whole election. If he doesn't win Pennsylvania, I see it hard for Trump losing the election if he wins Pennsylvania. It just mathematically is very difficult. Pennsylvania just it puts so many states into play. I don't have North or New Hampshire on this list. I think New Hampshire's also right there, but it's not a pivotal state. It's not a state that has any form of a domino effect. If you win Georgia, you might win Nevada. If you win Arizona, you might win Nevada. If you win Pennsylvania, you're probably having a shot at Michigan. If you win Michigan, if you're Trump, you're definitely winning Pennsylvania. These are states that have very similar types of voters, very similar industries, and that feels very similarly with their frustrations for towards politicians. So, thank you all for watching. This has been a little brief overview of the 2024 battleground between Trump, Harris, and a little bit of a little replay of the Trump and Biden race. It's crazy how much things have changed over the last 6 months. I will continue to do previews, including maybe playing the political machine if I can get my hands on a copy of that and do a Trump versus Harris. I do also want to break out the map and show you guys what I think are the most likely electoral college results. But always, thank you for watching. I appreciate the support. Please make sure to like this video, share this video, and to subscribe to the channel. Thank you all, and have a good one.